Okay, this video will hopefully help you answer the cumulative frequency questions that come up on the GCSE. They usually come in three different parts. The first part asks you to complete a cumulative frequency table. Now usually you're given two tables, one that has the frequency and the second that's blank that has the cumulative frequency. Now we've got to fill in this one here, and the way you do that is you add the frequencies to all of the previous frequencies. Now I'll just demonstrate what I mean by that. So the first one, I've got a frequency of 11 here, so it will just be exactly the same 11 as there's no frequencies before that. The second box though, I've got a frequency of 32 and I'm going to add it to the previous frequency 11. So 32 plus 11 is 43. Okay, the next box, I've got two frequencies above it. Okay, so I'm going to have this 18 and add it to these two. Now I've already added these two together, it's 43. So I'm going to add 18 and 43 and I get 61. I'm going to keep on doing this, so now I'm going to add on 11 to it, 72. And now I'm going to add the final 8 onto it. So I'm sort of doing a running total. Now I've got a really quick check here. This 80 in this box here, I can quickly check to make sure that this matches up with this value here, this 80 here. Okay, so there's a little clue in the question that we should be ending up with 80. So this 80 down here will match up with that 80 there if you've got it right. Okay, the second question will ask you to draw the cumulative frequency graph after you've completed the table. Now we do this by plotting coordinates of the cumulative frequency against the maximum time. So I'm just going to highlight the maximum time here just to show you. There we go. So all of these values are going to be matched with all of these values here, written as coordinates. So the very first coordinate I'm going to put in is going to be 20 on the time, and it's going to be up to 11 on the cumulative frequency. Now always make sure that you're checking your scale, because as you can see my scale here is going up in 2s on both axes. So to get 11 I need to go halfway between the 10 and the 12 here. Okay, so the next one will be 40 and 43. So I'm on 40 here, go up to do 43 again, it's going to be halfway. Okay, the next one would be 60 and 61. The next one would be 80 and 72. And the last one is 180. Now after you've done that, you want to connect all of those coordinates with a line. And the line should start from the smallest possible value. So in the time section here you can see that 0 is the smallest possible value. So I'm going to start my graph at 0. So I'm going to draw a line going through all of these coordinates. The third section of a cumulative frequency question usually asks you to analyze the graph in some way. Now there's a range of questions they could ask you. So sometimes they ask you just one of these, or they could ask you a couple. The first one, and probably the most common, is when they ask you to estimate the median of the data. Now if you remember, the median is the middle number. So seeing as we've got 80 people in this data sample, or 80 people taking this survey, we know that the middle person is going to be the 40th. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line from 40 across to my graph and down. Now as you can see, I'm going to be as accurate as possible by using straight lines here, so you would use a ruler. And you can see that my line goes through the number 39. So 39 would be my median. So the next question they could ask you is asking for the interquartile range. Now this is very similar to the median, but this time we're going to mark on the upper and lower quartile. Now if the median is the halfway point, the lower quartile is the quarter point. So a quarter of 80 is 20. So we're going to mark that on just like we did with the median. So 20 across to my line and down, and I get a value of 28. So I'm going to mark on that my lower quartile is 28. Okay, I don't have to write lower quartile. Usually I can just write LQ. Okay, so now I've also got to work out the upper quartile. Now, if the lower quartile is the 1/4 point, the upper quartile is the 3/4 point. So 3/4 of 80 is 60. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing that I did with my lower quartile and my median, only this time I'm going to do it at 60. So I go from 60 with a straight line to my graph and down, and I get an answer of 58. Okay, so now I'm just going to write my upper quartile, okay, which I'm just going to use the abbreviation UQ. Now the question's asking me to find the interquartile range of the data. Now that means I've got to find the range of these two numbers. Now if you remember, the range is where you have the biggest number and take away the smallest from it. Now I'm going to do exactly the same thing, and instead of the biggest number I'm going to use the upper quartile. So I'm going to do interquartile range, I'm going to say upper quartile, and I'm going to take away the lower quartile. And if you do that, you get an answer of 30. So 30 is my interquartile range. Now the other couple of questions are going to rely on us doing exactly the same sort of thing, but from the other way round. So beforehand we were going from the cumulative frequency here and then finding the values down the bottom here. Okay, in these cases we're going to use these values down the bottom and find these values here on the cumulative frequency. So the first question's asking me to calculate how many students spend less than 30 minutes revising. So down the bottom here I'm going to just find 30, which is down here, quite close to my lower quartile, go up to my line and across. And as you can see here, I get an answer of 22. So my answer here for the students that spend less than 30 minutes revising is going to be 22. Now this last question is very similar to the one before. Okay, there's only one difference, and I'm just going to highlight it now. Okay, so the first question asked me to find the people that spent less than 30 minutes. This one's asking me to find out the people that spent more than 60 minutes. So I'm going to start the question off just like I've done before, okay, with finding the value on the graph. So I'm going to find 60 down here, go up to my graph with my ruler, and then go across, okay, and I get the value of 62. Now 62 is not the people that spent more than 60 minutes revising. Okay, this is 62 is going to be how many people spent less than 60 minutes revising. So in order to actually find out how many people spent more, I'm going to have to take this away from the total number of people, which is 80. So I need to do a little calculation here. So 80, take away 62 is my answer, which is 18. So 18 people spent more than 60 minutes revising. Okay, well, hopefully that helped you. Okay, practice questions and practice exam questions. And if you keep getting stuck, just come back to this video to see all of the different things. Okay, good luck. Bye-bye.